people uptown out of this weather. So he went uptown and got a dray and pulled with one mule.
What is a dray?
Dray is a two-wheel vehicle, and it's got shafts on it. And you back the mule or the horse up in there and buckle the shafts up to him, put a collar on, and he pulls the dray. So he laid the trunks in there, and then he put the grandma in there and the two old maid aunts. And when he left, the water was up to the stomach of the mule.
Were you born then?
No. I was born in 1904. I remember. Maybe I didn't tell you. I don't know.
How did y'all travel from Galveston to Hitchcock?
How did they come? Well, then we had to come by boat. There wasn't any trains. In the early days, you come up Harlem by on a boat. And our first automobile, we bought in Galveston in 1911. We loaded it on a barge in Galveston, brought it across the bay to Texas City, and then drove it across the ferry up here.
The teachers work doing all this called the teachers work doing?
No, that's the community building. We used to call that the Hitchcock Community Building. That white building, I guess, is the one you're talking about. That building was built by the citizens of Hitchcock. At that time, we had formed a square dance club, and we didn't have any place to participate or dance, so we decided to build this. In the first weekend, the men would get the hammers and saws and do it, and the wives would bring the covered dish. And we put the building up one weekend. And then the next weekend, we finished the inside. Then after that, well, there was some more to do on the inside, and Sue Howard laid all the gas lines for it free one Sunday in the rain. And I don't remember who put the electric part in, but one of the local people around here put the electric part in. And while I'm talking about the Stewart Elementary, we had a softball team diamond over here at one time. And that diamond was the first lit field in Hitchcock, first lighted field in Hitchcock. And I furnished all the lights for it the first time. And then they moved it down to where the high school is now.
What were the main streets? What was the main street?
Well, about the main street, the only main street we had was the highway. That was North Railroad. State Highway 38 was a shell road part the way and dirt part the way. And the streets didn't have any names. The cross streets were named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But the other streets was. And later on they were named, the one we live on is Wallace, and the next one's on this side of the track is Berry, where the library is, and so forth. And Neville goes up, right on up to the Brad Myers estate.
Well, the canal we got right now, was that canal back then there, or what did y'all do?
What, the canal? No, the canals hadn't been there very long. No, it's, let me think about that. I think it was in the 60s when it was started. It took about 5 years, 10 years to get it. It was late in the 60s because it was after Carla. Carla come in the 60s, near the part of the 60s, and it was after that when it was started. Carla was a hurricane we had, in case y'all don't know what I'm talking about.
Was it a bad hurricane?
Mm-hmm. Surely was.
Back then, was it just most farming?
Mm-hmm. No, not in the 60s. No, farming stopped off in about 23 or 24, 1923 or 24.
Did you have any chores or anything to do? Some kind of chore?
You mean chores to work? Sure. We all had to work too. 25 cents a day.
How did you get punished? Did you have to sit on a seat about a corner?
I didn't get that. What was that?
How did y'all get punished if y'all did something wrong?
Do you really want me to tell you? Well, Mother, we had a privet hedge out around that place. And Mother always kept a few switches in the kitchen. And when she'd run out, she'd make us go out and cut the switches first, and then she said have some more. And we got punished with those switches on the legs. That's how we got punished.
Did you have to make your own toys or anything, or were there toys back then?
Well, no, we didn't have to do that. But see, I only had one sister, and she was married when I was real young. So some of my chores was helping my mother in the kitchen. I had to dry all the dishes all the time. We had 6 in the family, and there was a lot of dishes.
Well, did you have to make your own chairs?
No, we didn't have to make our own chairs. We bought those.
In Hitchcock?
No, we bought them in Galveston.
Galveston. were there banks back then? I heard before there was one bank that was made and then it just got burnt down.
Well, that's right. You know, along where Henckle Lumber Company is now, there used to be a brick building there. It was C.J. Henck built that building, and that was the bank. Bank was downstairs, with a dance hall upstairs. And during Camp Wallace days, it caught on fire. There was a restaurant next to it, and the restaurant, that building caught on fire, and it burnt down.
What y'all do for fun back then?
What did we do for fun? Play baseball.
Yeah, it wasn't no football on it.
No, we didn't know anything about football. Or we only played baseball on Sunday. See, we had to work all the other days. So on Sunday afternoons we played baseball.
What about the train to Galveston?
The trains? Is that what you said, train? Well, we had about 5 passenger trains going each way. And they all stopped except one each way. And that was a mail train. They threw the mail off as the train went by.
Well, what I meant was the story Hitchcock. You know, I've heard a lot that this lady, her husband's name was Hitchcock, and he wouldn't let her pass the.
Well, they owned the property through there. I interviewed that at the start. They owned this property through here where the railroad track was, see. And Mr. Hitchcock didn't want to give it to the railroad, but after he died, well, Mrs. Hitchcock made a deal with the railroad and sold them the property through here. That's why they named it Hitchcock, after L.M. Hitchcock.
Hearing Miss Gordon Latman. Miss Latman has called Hitchcock her home for several years.
Miss Latimer, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I will be happy to. I moved to Hitchcock when I was 6 years old. And been in Hitchcock ever since.
Does Stewart Elementary School mean anything to you?
Yes, it does, honey. It means a lot to me because my husband built the first Stewart Elementary School.
We have found out that the white building on Stewart campus was once the community hall. And then someone told us that it was used as a cafeteria.
That's right. It was built for a community hall for the young children in Hitchcock. We didn't have much entertainment or anything for them, and that was a way of having them come over. Then later we sold it to the school, and they used it. I gave it to the school, and used it as a cafeteria for the school children. And they all seemed to enjoy it very much.
My mother said that several bricks in our fireplace came from